understanding the fact that, you know what? This is a reaction. Perfect example of what's going on with immigration. This is a reaction when it comes to immigration because the current administration came in and said, you blew up the opportunity to fix immigration and to keep it low, and instead you rang the dinner bell and you allowed 10, 11, 12, 14, God knows how many people to wander in here, and for us to not know who vast majority of these people were, and I'm having to fix this. And if some people say it's an overreaction, well, you got to fix it, and this is how you fix it. This is what you do. It may not seem kind. It may not seem nice. There isn't, we're not handing people lays as they leave and saying, God, I wish you could stay, but this mess that we're in, it's not that way. Is it an overreaction? Yeah, but it's just a reaction to what the last 4 years was, which was a wide open border that nobody seemed to want to fix, and that the Democrats gaslit everybody by saying, the border is secure.
It's not just about what you do. It is about how you do it. It's not just about what you say. It's about what people hear and the impact on them. And make no mistake, with the budget having to be cut significantly and with tax cuts, the public is going to be looking for how they are impacted individually and whether or not the administration seems to hear, recognize, understand, and appreciate public opinion. The agenda is correct. The intensity for the American people is correct. How it's being done and how it's being talked about is not.
And that's what I think a lot of people have problems with. But as I was explaining to several people out there, we're going to play some of the audio. I'm going to double, triple check it to make sure that there's no cursed words in some of them, that they all recognize, the ones that I spoke to a guy, just a really nice guy. I'm going to play some of his audio here about how frustrated he is by a lot of the stuff he sees out there. Algorithms drive a lot of this stuff, how we all get into this. But he's very frustrated in the way that a lot of these things have been handled, but recognizes that we have to do some of these things. And as I was trying to explain to some people, you have to overcorrect to get back to correct. Because if you just peel away a little bit here, a little bit there, you're not doing anything. You have to really make a move into it. And we can't say, we can't give a high five to everybody. We can't give a hug to everybody. We can't wish everybody all the best. And these people are paid quite well. I had to remind people that you think that they use the word civil servant as if there's some sort of magical, being that is sacrificing their livelihood to essentially sleep in their car to make sure that you and I can get mail or whatever. No, they're people who get paid quite well, who have a good retirement and live a pretty damn good life, better than the average person when you look at salaries across the board. And because of that, we should expect certain things. But we cannot live the way we've been living. We cannot. It is unsustainable. And it's going to continue to be unsustainable. And all of them that I had, because my thing is have conversations. Because you can't learn anything. I said over and over, and they all agreed, you and I couldn't live that way, the way that the government lives. Because you and I, Bell can't print money, and he's tried. Ken can't print money, and he's tried. None of us can. We don't have, outside of Bell's 801, we don't have an unlimited borrowing capability.
I've even looked for it on trees.
Yes, absolutely, we have. The only thing we found is Coke, which is good, but it'll get you in trouble. So don't do that. But this way of printing money, of borrowing against the future, doing those kind of things, we can't live our way. You couldn't live your household that way. I can't live my household that way. Nobody can. So at some point in time, something's got to give. And this is it. And this is the reaction to something that came long before Trump was here that everybody talked about. And even when Trump leaves, they're still going to be fighting this battle. So this is not going away anytime soon. A lot of stuff still to get to. We've got some good audio from out there as well. A bunch of other stuff. Just want to let you guys know. A Swiss doctor is doing something pretty damn cool. He's prescribing something that I think you guys are going to like. We're going to talk about that a little bit later as well. Reach out to us across all of our social media here. You can reach out to me at Chad Benson Show on Twitter, YouTube, and everything else, as well as check out our Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch.
Yep.
Not quite Rumble. Not quite.
Yeah, we should be on Rumble.
We're going to be on Rumble from what I hear. So we're live across those things. Make sure you hit up us. Try to answer as many of those as possible, as does Bell. Ken's News straight ahead. It is Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 997. Raycon, best earbuds around. Love my Raycons. They are incredible. You're going to love yours. Fit, feel, comfort, second to none. This is what I love about Raycon. 8 hours talk time, 32 hours of battery life. For every 10 minutes you charge it with the new fast charging, you get 90 minutes of listen. So think about that. You get 90 minutes. If your thing's dead, but you're like, oh, man, I got to go do something for an hour, but I wish I had these. Plug them in for 10 minutes, 90 minutes. Boom, right there. Active noise cancellation. Sound quality, second to none. They are amazing. And they are 20% off right now. The madness of March is going on, and take advantage of this. Now, here's another great thing, 30-day happiness guarantee. So you get these, and you're like, I don't know if I like these. I don't know if I like the color, whatever. You can switch them or send them back, get your money back, no questions asked. If you want the best sound quality around, the best fit around, it is Raycon's everyday earbuds. Get them now. Save 20%. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad.
Well, the showdown between the Trump administration and the judiciary enters a new phase this week. We've got that and more at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We lost a legend this weekend.
His career spanned 4 decades. Yeah. He was known for his grit and perseverance, even when fighting younger and tougher opponents, and greats like Frazier, Holyfield, and Ali. His popularity and good-natured personality fueled his post-retirement venture as a businessman, and he made millions promoting and selling a line of electric and now iconic grills bearing his name. George Foreman was 76 years old.
Named all of his kids George.
Every one of them.
Every one of you, like 12, right? Like just.
I'm not sure.
I don't know how many kids he had. He had so many kids. It was incredible. He won a 68 Mexico Olympics, won a gold medal. Took on Ali in arguably the greatest fight. One of them. just because of the hype around it. It was incredible, right? That, like, the Rumble from the Jungle was something that was epic. There was a music festival before. The money that was brought in on that, I don't think people realize. So in today's dollars, the pay-per-view would be $700 million.
Wow.
Think about that. $700 million. And you had Ali. Ali was 32. George was 25. George was a beast, right? Like, beat Frazier. He was the man. He was the myth. And he said, I just thought I was going to roll through this guy. He goes, yeah, I knew he was great. He goes, but I thought I was going to. He couldn't stop my power. So what did they do? Angela Denny and them, they had a plan. The plan is let him punch himself out. This weather, the whole 9 yards. Let him punch himself out. Let him work himself out. And he did. That obviously became the rope-a-dope.
Yeah.
And he said it was the 7th round or 8th round, last round. He said, he goes, I hit him, and he smiled and whispered in my ear, is that all you got, Big George? And he goes, that's when I knew this is what I signed up for. And that was that. And then he retired, right? So he goes away. So here it is. He goes away, has a couple other fights, goes away, then comes back. And on a November night, 20-plus years later, taking on Michael Moore, who at that time was 20 years younger, and in the 10th round, catches Michael Moore with a absolute crunching shot that made Michael Moore go cross-eyed.
Yes.
When you saw him hit the ground, because it was one of those things where he gets hit, Michael takes a step forward, then he falls backwards, and then he kind of looks up, and you could see from the cameras, he's cross-eyed.
Yeah.
His nose was broke, and that was it. George Foreman reclaimed it. Then he went on and sold a bunch of grills. He was an interesting character. There was no doubt about that.
There are people out there going, that guy was a boxer?
Yeah.
He had arms like tree trunks.
That was the big thing, man. He was so
Just
strong.
Power.
And when you look at him when he was younger, because a lot of people think of him as he was when he was bald and he was, was 50 pounds overweight comparatively what he was. When you look at him as a young boxer after he won the Olympics, you look at him taking on people, it was arms as tree trunks.
Yeah.
Nobody could withstand his power except for Ali, who figured out rope-a-dope.
Ali.
And he rope-a-doped him. They came up with a plan. Just let him hit you in the arms a whole bunch. And the funny thing is, he threw all those punches, but Ali still led on all the cards. Because Ali would jab, 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 hit to the face, get back out, you punch my arms. I'm going to go against the rope, and you just come towards me. And every time you get near me, I'm going to lean on you, too. That was the other thing. I'm going to lean on you and put all of my bigness on top of you and wear you out.
Yeah.
And then he sold the grills.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. $138 million he earned from endorsements of the grills. Prior to that, he was paid 40% of the profits on each grill that earned him about $4.5 million a month at its peak.
Man.
In total, about $200 million he made off the grills.
Just a hamburger grill.
Just a hamburger grill, and it was delicious, too. Everybody had one. I'm like, I should probably get one of those. And the kids, man, he had like all those kids, boys and girls, all named George. That's what I used to laugh at. He had 7 daughters. So their middle names were Georgetta. All their middle names were George. And then he had his daughters from a separate relationship, which, by the way, Georgetta, there was 2 of those. And then he had several different kids on top of his sons, but everybody was named George in some way, shape, or form. 12 children in total. George Jr., George the III, George the IV, George the V, George the VI. Now, George Jr. and George, so George Jr., his name was just George Jr., so they call him Jr. The third was called the Monk, the fourth was called Big Wheel, the fifth was called Red, and the sixth was called Little Joey. There you go, kids. A legend he was, though.
What a character, man.
Larger, that's right, larger than life, and a character that was all American. That's what I love about him. George Foreman, rest in peace, big man. Rest in peace. Coming up, we got some audio from this weekend. Talk a little bit about what's going on with the judges, the battle that is. There's a reason that these battles are taking place. There are steps to take in our country to get to where Trump wants to get with these things. And you can't do that without taking the first step. You don't automatically go to the end. Talk about that, bunch of other stuff straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Just saw a breaking news alert from Fox News. Apparently, Austin police, this is Austin, Texas police, say they found an incendiary device at the Tesla dealership there. Not sure if that's a result of the weekend protests or if that is just something they just now found. We'll get some more information on that for you. Trump administration challenging the court order by a federal judge that aimed to halt the deportation of Venezuelan migrants to El Salvador. A D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals hearing their case today.
On Friday, I asked the president whether he believes he has the authority to do that, round them up, deport them, and then not show the evidence that the courts have been asking for. The president said yes, that's what the law says, and that is what the country has asked for, and that's what's required to do right now.
That's Karen Travers reporting. Meanwhile, the Trump administration considering an arrangement with the IRS that would make tax records from people who are undocumented available and could lead to more deportations. Second Lady Usha Vance will visit Greenland on Thursday with an American delegation that includes National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and Secretary of Energy Chris Wright. The White House says her visit will include stops at historical sites, learning about the country's heritage, and attending Greenland's national dog sled race.
I'm also coming to celebrate the long history of mutual respect and cooperation between our nations, and to express hope that our relationship will only grow stronger in the coming years.
But it comes as President Trump continues to say the U.S. will take control of Greenland. Greenland's prime minister calls the trip, quote, very aggressive American pressure. The parents of Riley Strain have filed a wrongful death lawsuit against his former paternity and fraternity members. Strain allegedly consumed alcohol on the bus trip to Nashville from the University of Missouri, then became intoxicated at a bar in Nashville, died after falling into the Cumberland River with a .228 blood alcohol content. Attorney David Eastlick defends fraternities in these type cases.
It's the lifestyle of the Greek world, and I'm sure he has some personal responsibility because he shouldn't have been doing it because he was 22.
Strain's parents, though, say his fraternity and the members with him on the trip failed to keep him safe. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Kids, if you got issues with your HVAC and you got issues with your plumbing, there's only one place to call. The one and only, Busy Bee Plumbing. It's that simple. Write this number down, 775-7833, 775-7833. They're going to take care of you. Nate, Gary, the entire crew over there are going to take care of you from top to bottom. And when it comes to your HVAC, because we've had a few issues with ours, they're getting ready to come out. They're going to come out, too, with a new filter for us, which we're super excited about the way that they're working it because we're renting a place. And they're like, oh, we can do something. It's just, they're amazing. They're incredible. I use them. You should use them. And let me tell you something. You join the famous Beehive Club, it is simple. 2 inspections a year pays for itself. And knowing that if stuff goes south, you're the first in line when there's a problem. That is incredible. Call today. Join the Beehive Club. Whether you have issues with HVAC or plumbing, they've got you covered. 775-7833, 775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com. So it wasn't just, as Doge takes everything on, and they're taking a lot on. The next thing that people are looking at is, what are they going to do with the United States Postal Service? We had, yes, kids, ready for this? We had all kinds of stuff going on here in Tennessee, including on Broadway, the United States Postal Service out there. Doing what? Well, saying, don't fire us.
We want to fight right so we can be able to live our middle-class life and save the Postal Service another 250 years.
A strong message from Nashville post office workers to the White House. They do not want layoffs or USPS to be privatized. That's the word from these protesters taking their message to the streets of Nashville today. But the Trump administration is aiming to fix the country's postal service that's been drowning in billions of dollars of debt for years now. USPS is warning, though, of potential consequences, including thousands of jobs getting slashed.
So, now you heard it there. They are drowning in debt. And it is lots of debt. And they're not supposed to take any federal money. The whole thing, they're supposed to be able to pay for themselves. Right? This is an organization that's supposed to pay for themselves through the stuff that they do, from postage stamps to postage, et cetera, et cetera. They're not. And they haven't been for a while. It's been a losing proposition for a while because they're no longer the only game in town. And we get things now. How many of us get stuff electronically? How many of us? When's the last time? Let me ask you, whip around. Let some people know. Maybe some of you are older. It may be different. But when's the last time you mailed something? Anybody? In an actual mail?
I cannot remember.
Look at Bell's thinking.
I want to say I did it recently, but to be honest, I don't think I have.
No. Now,
not that I can remember.
I've
anyway.
UPS some stuff or that kind of things. But the last time I mailed a letter or mailed anything at the post office, I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah. I mean, even with like bills that I get in the mail, 99.99% of them have an online option to go pay it that way.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm getting a cell phone bill and then I send it back in. I just do it online.
We just don't anymore. And when you live off of those things, well, it's hard to think, oh, this is going to be great. I mean, we got to make some serious choices. Again, it goes back to nobody wants their area cut. Nobody wants to see anybody lose their jobs. But at what point do we go, well, this is unsustainable, right? This is it.
U.S. postal workers along Broadway joined more than 260 rallies across the country in recent weeks, making it clear to President Trump, USPS is not for sale, a resounding chant from some 640,000 post office employees.
People are here and they want to make sure that they fight for their job.
The backlash comes as the Trump administration weighs possibly privatizing USPS or transferring it to the Department of Commerce, taking away some of its independence.
Which everybody's like, no, we don't want that. But, several of you have said, well, I mailed some stuff this morning, but a lot of you are going, but I'm also a senior. I'm a little bit older. Okay, again, that's fine. But the average person, they're not mailing anything. The average, and I'm talking about somebody who's in their 40s. I'm not talking about somebody who's 70, and I'm talking about somebody 20. I'm talking about a 40-year-old. They're not mailing anything. Hell, my kids, one's 14, 6, the ones that are here. My son will be here this weekend. He's 14. I don't think they've ever seen the inside of a post office.
They're both probably like, what the hell's the Postal Service?
They have no idea.
Is that FedEx?
Yeah. That's it. FedEx, UPS, Amazon. Right? They think Amazon's some sort of mail delivery system.
And it is.
It is for the stuff we need. So if it's losing money, think about the billions, and we'll break it down here in a little bit. The billions it's losing, it's insane how much it's losing.
If it was to privatize the Postal Service, then we'll be driving up the cost for small business as well as our consumers.
Workers fear the changes will come with thousands of job cuts and impact vital mail deliveries, particularly in rural areas.
The folks that we deliver to every day, the baby formula, the medications that go out, especially rural areas when they're talking about 51 million deliveries in the rural areas,
The U.S. Postal Service is not supposed to be funded by taxpayer dollars, operating on sales revenue only. But it's been in such poor financial shape for more than a decade, Congress approved $107 billion in government funding to help it out in 2022. 3 years later, USPS is still in deep debt amid the declining need for first-class mail. So far this month, USPS has agreed to cut 10,000 jobs through a voluntary retirement program and billions of dollars from its budget, working with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. The move creating some heavy concern.
With the Postal Service, we was able to attain a middle-class life. And without the Postal Service and the benefits that we receive, we may not be able to live a middle-class life.
Now, in an open letter to Congress this week, the U.S. Postmaster General said that stamp fraud, 31,000 building leases, and costly federal requirements are all adding to the post office's financial problems.
Then there's lots of, first of all, I didn't know stamp fraud was that big. Is that a big thing? I've been a stamp fraudster for years, and I'm not making a lot of money. I got all these forever stamps that don't work. And I know a lot of you have chimed in and said, well, we had to pre-fund our retirement for 75 years. Well, you didn't get there. They had to ask for that to change because they couldn't afford it. It became too much. It became too top-heavy, some of you said. There's a lot of stuff that when you look at this, this is where it's a perfect example of you're borrowing money when you weren't supposed to. You're losing money. At what point do we say, okay, we can't do this? We can't. I don't want anybody to lose their job, but at what point do you say, we make $1, we lose $8? I don't know what to do from here because you can't do that forever. And it's frustrating. And you don't want to privatize. You don't want to do this. You don't want to. Well, you got to figure something out because you can't live off. This is the thing with government now. We have allowed too many programs and too many things to falter, to not be forward thinking, to fight against the norms, to allow the unions to push too much around. And we are now looking at the fruits of the labor, which is these trees aren't bearing anything and they're nearly dead. So we can either decide to fix it by privatizing some of it, moving it into another direction and streamlining it, or get rid of it altogether. Well, we can't do that.
How much was the infusion of cash? Was it $170 billion?
Yeah, something like that.
You know, that kind of a number should be shocking.
Should be.
Because that's almost 20% of $1 trillion. And we have $36 trillion in debt. That goes a long way towards debt. We shouldn't be spending $170 billion on the post office.
No, that loses money and will continue to do so. The forecast is they're going to continue to lose money. So maybe you keep it in rural areas and you privatize some of it. You know, I go back to what happened in Britain with the trains. They took the trains away in certain areas and decided to privatize lines from British Railway. So Virgin and a few others bought them. They are turning a profit, then the trains are running on time. The British trains are still, government trains are not running on time, and they're losing gobs of money.
How am I supposed to get my weekly coupon mailers if we don't have the post office?
Do we have those?
I was being sarcastic. The last time I used an actual paper coupon was probably before the last time I used used the post office to send mail, because it's all on apps and digital nowadays. You don't need the post office in our current system.
No, you don't. You don't need the post office. And we just don't. I mean, again, there's so many people that work there and so many people that an older generation that relies on it. But for the most part, we don't need it. We don't need any of these things. We have UPS. We have FedEx. And in many states across the country, they have their own small group of people who deliver, and you can do certain like this. Maybe we start privatizing this and selling routes to people so they can do it, because you watch how efficient it'll be. It is frustrating, absolutely. But at the same time, if we're talking about saving money and we're not looking at the things that are losing money that were supposed to stand on their own, and now we're thinking, do we have to loan them more money? What do we do? What is the answer? And somebody said, well, they're top heavy. You can fire all the management. It still isn't going to fix the problem that the thing that you're using is obsolete. Right? Bell was joking about getting coupons. He doesn't get coupons. Would be funny if he did, though. I was being sarcastic about them being mailed, but I do use coupons, but I use it in the Kroger app. I don't need the junk mail.
You know what
go ahead.
I just found out this weekend I've been getting Southern Living magazine on a regular basis, and I have no idea how.
Really?
I'm not paying for it. But in the mail was a Southern Living magazine this weekend. My wife usually checks it, and she goes, "Oh, yeah, you've been getting that every month. I just throw it away." And I say, "Well, stop doing that. I might read it."
Yeah, you don't get that unless you're like a real good old boy.
I'm going to put a little table in the bathroom and put all my Southern Livings on it.
There you go. That's how you turn lemons into lemonade right there.
Southern Living magazine. What are you, a dentist? I'm still getting my Highlights magazine.
Yeah. But I have no idea how I'm getting this magazine.
So you didn't order it?
No.
You didn't, your kid didn't sell it 20 years ago as part of some sort of subscription, and it still sends it to you?
You know what, dude? That could be. It might have been from an old grade school project that, whenever my son was selling stuff for school or something.
And you just continue to get it.
I just keep. But my wife, she says, I just throw them away.
How's that make you feel, Southern Home Living magazine? That's what we do. Somebody says, Kroger sends me paper coupons. It's good. That's good. I mean, a lot of people get coupons. That's great. And again, older people tend to get coupons and use them. I mean,
yeah.
Just being honest, right? Most of the people that use coupons probably over 60.
Yeah.
And when you look at how many people have Walmart or Amazon subscriptions, 80% of that stuff is coming UPS or FedEx
or straight from them.
Yeah.
Like when we do like a Walmart a Walmart thing, it's somebody goes in, picks all the stuff, and delivers it to us.
Yep.
So times are changing, and the United States Postal Service better figure something out, because the bill. We can complain all we want, but when we hear it in plain numbers, when the answer is, well, we got too many people that are this, or we have too many people that are top heavy in management, or we can't raise the rates. What are you going to raise the rates to? Nobody's paying for your stuff anyways.
That's something that personally irritates me. That guy in the audio that you played was talking about how he has a middle-class lifestyle because of his pay and his benefits. Yeah. If you're sucking off the taxpayer teat to get that, you're a leech, and you need to go find another place to make your money.
Yeah. Well, and he probably has been working for the post office for 20 years, 30 years, and he bought a house, and he's living a good life now, something he couldn't do today.
Just because you work for the government doesn't mean you're entitled to the job.
Yeah, well, they all think that. A lot of them do. There's no doubt about that. By the way, Tracy wants to remind us, she's only 55. She uses coupons, and she's only 55. My wife gets a magazine monthly that we never bought or ordered, says 8018.
Hey, Ken, Jason said there's a system where you can get 10 CDs for a penny.
Oh, remember that? How many of you guys ordered 10 CDs or 10 tapes?
I did.
From was it published? No, it wasn't. What was it?
What was that?
Columbia House.
Columbia House.
Yeah, Columbia House.
And you never returned them, because I wouldn't even know where to return them. Oh, my Lord. Reliving the old days, kids. Reliving the old days. Coming up, a lot of other stuff straight ahead, including this doctor in Switzerland's going to prescribe something to you guys that I think would be good for all of us. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Everybody could use a second opinion when it comes to your retirement, when it comes to your investments across the board. And Bulwark Capital, who I work with, want to give you that opportunity to get a second opinion. It doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time. Call 866-779-RISK today and check out what Bulwark does. And they're going to basically give you a snapshot into what's going on in your retirement, where they think you should go if you want to get to where you want to be in your investments and your retirement, and how they handle the people they work with, which is all about risk management. Lower risk, lower cost, lower volatility, give you the most upside potential. It is what it's all about. Bulwark wants to talk to you. Doesn't cost anything but a little bit of time. And again, all you have to do is give them a buzz. It's a full second opinion. They're going to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb and say, look, you're at risk here. You're for where you want to be. You aren't risking enough and looking for bigger things. Or maybe you're in a situation where you've got way too much in an area that if things go south, you don't want that. No cookie cutter. Get it built for you when it comes to your investments and retirement. You can check out everything they do at knowyourriskradio.com. KNOW-riskradio.com. Investment advisor services offered through Trek Financial LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk and not a guarantee. Past performance not guarantee future results. Trek 24173.
President Trump's holding another cabinet meeting, and the agriculture secretary claims to have eliminated millions of dollars in wasteful spending, including money for programs for gay and lesbian farmers. We'll tell you about it at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Queer farmers. That's what it says. Secretary Rowland's queer farmers. I'm like, is that a big deal? Like, is there a lot of that? Like, what's the difference between a queer farmer and a farmer?
I have no idea.
I'm just...
One likes to farm, the other likes to farm.
Well, maybe. I don't know. What are you guys growing? Like, what are you talking about? Well, it's queer farmers. We got rid of queer farmers. Well, what makes them different? Like, are they doing anything different? What do they sashay up to their John Deere that's pink?
How are lesbian women and gay men ever supposed to be able to eat if we have no queer farmers?
I have no idea. You're just queer farmer phobic. I am. I don't even know what a queer farmer is. What if they're just a farmer?
Like what?
Dude, it's gay corn.
Oh, it's gay corn.
Gay corn and gay wheat.
So if you would have put down on your application that you were LGBTQ plus, does that mean you get extra money?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know that for extra money.
That means you're Senator Warren.
Because I'm at that point. If you guys are going to give me something stupid money for saying I'm something, I don't actually have to prove anything. Right? They're not making you go in a room and make out with a guy.
Hey, it worked for Elizabeth. It worked for Elizabeth Warren.
It did. It did. I'm watching that show called Dark Winds. Have you seen that?
I've heard about it.
It is great. It's all about Elizabeth Warren on the Navajo tribe. It's all about her.
Is it?
Catching criminals. She doesn't catch a lot, by the way, because she's not really a native.
Oh.
Just the whole thing about like we canceled transgender and queer farmers. From what? What exactly did they do? I'm curious. I'd like to know. I think Ken's going to tell us.
Oh.
Well, they were getting what? Gay corn? Is that what they're getting?
I think we need to put Sally in timeout.
Gay wheat?
Do you see Sally's comment?
Oh, is it horrible?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Oh, settle down there. Larry's got one too. Guys, settle down. Settle down. All of you guys. Does that make them vegans? Kinda.
Oh.
I don't even know.
I had no idea that there were
any of those things.
There was money set aside.
Good God. That is just so weird. We're going to talk about that, a bunch of other stuff straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. President Trump holding another cabinet meeting. Secretary of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Brooke Collins, highlighted what she says was a waste of taxpayer dollars within her department.
We've canceled a $300,000 contract educating on food justice for queer and transgender farmers in San Francisco. A similar contract we canceled in New York, again, educating transgender and queer farmers on food justice and food equality. I'm not even sure what that means, but apparently the last administration wanted to put our taxpayer dollars towards that.
Meanwhile, the federal judge in Washington reviewing the Trump administration's use of wartime deportation powers has denied a request that he lift his temporary restraining order. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has the latest.
In this latest order, Judge James Boasberg says the president's use of the Alien Enemies Act is unprecedented, outside what he calls a typical wartime context. The judge says anyone subject to the presidential proclamation needs to be given the chance to challenge the government's assertions that they're members of Tren de Aragua. This afternoon, an appeals court above Boasberg will hear arguments as the Trump administration pushes to lift the judge's temporary restraining order, which for now blocks further deportations of Venezuelans under the 1798 law.
Second Lady Usha Vance and two top U.S. officials heading to Greenland later this week. ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers explains why this trip trip is sparking some backlash from leaders in Greenland.
Second Lady Usha Vance will visit Greenland on Thursday with an American delegation that includes National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and Secretary of Energy Chris Wright. The White House says her visit will include stops at historical sites, learning about the country's heritage, and attending Greenland's national dog sled race. But it comes as President Trump continues to say the U.S. will take control of Greenland, including this in his address to Congress this month.
We're working with everybody involved to try and get it.
Greenland's prime minister calls the trip, quote, very aggressive American pressure.
Here in Tennessee, it's a big week for the state legislature and the bill that allows school districts to refuse admittance to children in the country illegally. That bill will be debated on, then voted on in the Senate Finance Committee tomorrow. Senator Bo Watson telling Channel 4.
I anticipate spirited debate with some of my colleagues on Tuesday, and I expect the public to be engaged in it, and that is the democratic process.
After the vote tomorrow in the Senate, the bill will move to the House Education Committee on Wednesday. And demolition now underway at Belmead Plaza as crews bring down the old Kroger to make way for an entire new community.
It is going to be called the Belmead Village. The company does plan on turning it into a massive mixed-use development that will feature around hundreds of condos, apartments, and green space, and even some hotel rooms over there. There's no word yet on when this will all be done.
That's Channel 4's Alexandria Adams and the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Yeah, the gay farming thing is interesting. Here is Secretary Rollins.
But even at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, we've canceled a $300,000 contract educating on food justice for queer and transgender farmers in San Francisco. A similar contract we canceled in New York, again, educating transgender and queer farmers on food justice and food equality. I'm not even sure what that means, but apparently the last administration wanted to put our taxpayer dollars towards that.
I have no idea what that means. What is food justice? Do we know?
Let me look it up, man.
I'm just curious. Is that?
That's an extra slice of cheese on your fillet of fish.
Is that what it is? Is that what that is? Oh, man, they supersize their drinks. It's probably that white people can get organic food and people of color cannot, or minority communities or communities that are, I don't know.
Yeah, it says food justice is a movement that advocates for everyone's right to access healthy, affordable, and culturally appropriate food.
What the hell does that mean?
I don't know.
What are you talking about?
I guess if you're a Muslim, the food's got to be halal.
If you're Jewish,
it's got to be kosher.
But
it addresses systemic inequalities within the food system and promotes equitable access to food for all, regardless of their background or location.
And I was asking Ken during the break, it's like, how do you prove you're that you're actually...
That you're that gay? You got to go in another room. You got to do gay stuff.
Yeah. I mean, but when you look at... When minorities were simply people of color... That was very obvious that you were a person of color. It wasn't something
Was it obvious to you?
It was just so obvious.
I don't see color, Bell.
But how do you prove that?
I don't see gay.
Yeah,
How do you prove?
Apparently the government sees it.
By the way, New York and San Francisco, my buddy texted me and goes, where the hell are they getting this land in New York and San Francisco? Do you know how expensive it is there?
Yeah, man, especially in San Francisco, trying to find a place to farm there would be.
Everybody gets a pot. They're like, here, you're pretty gay. Here's a pot. But like we said, Bill,
do you have a card or something that you show?
Hey, what are you doing? I'm putting on my dress. I'm pretending to be a trans farmer. Give me a hat.
Yeah, your hat has to have the rainbow flag on it.
Goodness.
This is why people... This is why when we talk about Doge, we talk about this stuff. This is why. Yes, it's not huge money, but it's money. And it's all the wacky, crazy things that are out there where it's hard to sit here and say we don't have enough money for this or we don't have enough money for food justice, whatever that is again. This is why. Where people just go, this is stupid. This is absolutely stupid. Because when you read it out loud, you can't not laugh.
Right.
I mean, you're reading it, and and like Bell's saying, like, how do you prove that to anybody? What room is there to prove this in? I don't know. I have no idea how you prove that. And I don't know, why can't you just be a farmer?
Exactly.
Like... Just, hey, Jim likes boys. So what? I don't know. Can he farm? Yeah, he's great at farming. Okay, great. Jim just wants to be a farmer. He doesn't want to be a gay farmer. He just wants to be a farmer.
Wait a minute. Did you say he's gay?
Yeah.
Okay, give him an extra $1 million.
Extra $1 million for his gay farming. It's just so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord. I don't know. You think, how did we get here? We got here because we allowed many NGOs and all these people to do these stupid things, get tons of money from the government because it was free, because it wasn't theirs, and hand them out and make sure that these people continue to get reelected over and over again. Yes, Bill?
Somewhere in our listening audience, there is a farmer who is actually a homosexual who's going, this is ridiculous.
Of course there is.
Because it's just common sense, and they're trying to find ways to buy votes.
That's all it is. Well, yeah, because these NGOs are the amount of money that they have, the amount of money they get, and how they're able to sit on boards, and somebody's wife sits on a board, and somebody's husband sits on a board, and they get all of this money flooded into their accounts. It's legalized money laundering for government for just the dumbest things in the world. And it's like, dude, we got $3 million. It reminds me of, it's like is it Wheel of Fortune where you got to buy the stuff right there? Is that what it used to be? Like, so you're down to your final $80 billion, right? And you're like, all right, $2 billion for gay farmers. And a porcelain
throw
cat.
another $1 million in there for Transformers.
Yeah. And a porcelain cat. Give me $14 million for a porcelain cat.
Rest on a gift certificate.
That's right. Let me give me $11 million for circumcisions in Zimbabwe.
And give them a year subscription to Southern Living.
Which continues to come to Ken's house for no reason. I love that. It's my favorite thing. What's going on? I just got you need to bring it in one day. Okay. We can celebrate it.
I'll bring the issue tomorrow.
Southern Living. Southern Living is good, is what we're trying to say. Just insane. Meanwhile, Trump has a battle with courts. Jim Jordan talking about the courts because it's becoming ridiculous.
But what we're trying to do is take legislative action. 2.5 weeks ago in the Judiciary Committee bill, we passed legislation which said instead of these federal district judges issuing an injunction that applies to the entire country, we think it should be limited to the parties of the case in that respective jurisdiction. It's Congressman Ice's bill. It's a good piece of legislation. We passed it 2.5 weeks ago. Speaker Johnson's indicated he'd like to get this bill to the floor next week and move it through the process. So we think there's some things that we can do legislatively. And then, frankly, there's the broader issue of all these judges' injunctions and then decisions like Judge Boasberg, what he's trying to do and how that case is working. We're going to have hearings on all of that because particularly when you look at Judge Boasberg, it starts to look like this is getting totally political from this guy. Particularly when you remember he's also the judge who was part of the whole Trump-Russia FISA court granting those warrants that allowed the Comey FBI to spy on President Trump's campaign.
Got to go back there. Everybody's going back to January 6th and Russia. These things were all designed, these cases, to get to the Supreme Court. Do I think Trump's going to win every one in the Supreme Court? I don't. I think a lot of the ones, USAID and several of these other ones, are going to be situations where he's going to lose because it's got to be Congress. Congress has to sort this stuff out. They're the ones with the purse strings. They're the ones who control the money. They're the ones who voted to put these things in many, many, many moons ago. So they're going to be the ones that have to take it out, and they're going to be the ones who have to actually go and do their job for a change. But when it comes to, in particular, this old law from the late 1700s, can Trump use it? And it's been used in war and in times where there wasn't war. So, yes, I think he's going to win that one. Now, it doesn't mean that we expect him to round everybody up and throw it, but you've got to do it in a way that is reasonable and real. We can't just look at somebody and go, that person's got a tattoo and he's brown, so that must mean he's part of, Trende or 18th Street or whatever. No, we have to do it right. And there's going to be mistakes made. We need to rectify those things. But over the weekend, he also said, hey, of those 300,000 Haitians, Nicaraguans, Cubans, and Venezuelans that were all paroled in here under the asylum law and given the opportunity to stay and work in here because they were escaping their country, well, we're going to pull theirs as well. So now you guys have, I think, from March 25th, give or take, you're going to have 30 days to self-deport, or you're going to get caught up in that. And that's going to go to court, too, because you already granted asylum. So what does that look like? But these things were all designed to get to the Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court is going to have to decide. And when it comes to judges and when it comes to things like this, every single Republican and Democrat, when they're looking for something to do, they will judge pick. They will judge shop. Who's the judge that's going to give me the most favorable ruling? Who's the judge that is going to give me the rulings that I need and want based on the ideas that I have? And that's exactly what's going on here. And they're saying, hold on, maybe you guys should be able to have a ruling, but specifically in the case that you're ruling on, in the area that you're ruling. Not that one federal judge, it's not even a federal appeals court, that you shouldn't be able to rule on everything. So we'll see how this plays itself out. I think, like I said, the quicker it gets to the Supreme Court, the better it's going to be. So we have a clear path, and then we can go from there. And did I've said it over and over again, do I think that everybody they sent over there was Trende? No. Do I think they were all MS-13? No. Do I think some of them got caught up in something? Absolutely. And, we'll figure out what that looks like. Do I think they're coming back? I have no idea. I have no idea. I would like some transparency from the president and the administration. And we'll see what it looks like when it gets all the way to court and when it works its way out. And then the individual cases, what that looks like. This weekend, I was out at the Tesla dealership because there was a big, I don't want to say big. I don't even know what a big one is anymore. Like, is it 200 people? Is it 100 people? I have no idea. It was probably 100, 150 people there, I would assume, give or take.
How many were gay?
A lot of gay farmers.
A lot of gay farmers.
So gay farmy everywhere.
Because all you got to do is look at them, you can tell, right?
Right, trans farmer, like trans farmer.
Well, they were buying everybody lunch.
They were growing it right there. My friend Heather here, she became my new friend. She's not a fan of Trump, and she's not a fan of Elon. I will tell you, she was very friendly. She was very hyped up. She's very much the prototypical, if you were to go and say, hey, give me the liberal. She looks kind of like the Cheshire Cat, crazy hair, bunch of, nose rings, lip rings, the whole 9 yards, all the things that you would think, hey, straight out of Central Casting.
What's your name? Why are you out here? Heather, because Musk, Trump, MAGA, racism. We're all here illegally originally. So, the discrimination. Humanitarians, let's go.
So what would you like to see happen? What's your ultimate goal?
Safety and security for my vets, for my disabled, for my elderly. When you are 60, you should be able to retire and not have to worry about shit. And all of that's trying to be taken out by Musk, Trump, and his whole crew.
So there's a lot of that with her. She's very excited about that. Get some more from Heather. All of it's being taken out. And you know what's interesting is she agreed. There's tons of waste, fraud, and abuse. And as I've said, everybody agrees with there's all of these things and all these problems. What they don't agree with is who should lose the funding. The left, if you took every penny away from the military, for the most part, they would be like, and I'm talking about the far left, the loud left, they'd be okay with that. The right, if you took away most of the entitlements, they would be fine with that. It's where's the reality? And when you're out there and you live in a world of emotion, it's tough to find reality. I've got some more of these that, again, I found interesting this week, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. A Swiss doctor's done something I find rather fascinating.
You know what you call a trans electrician?
What?
Transformer.
Transfarmer. Like farmer in disguise. We're having too much fun. Happy Monday, everybody. This is Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all of this incredible stuff packed into an amazing supplement that you give your dog on a daily basis. Right now, they're giving you a Jumpstart trial bag for free. All it costs is a few bucks for shipping, and they send it out to you free. It's a $20 value. And they want you to take the 90-day challenge. Now, the 90-day challenge, you're going to see in the first 30 days, shinier coat, more energy. By day 60, immune system stronger, digestive tract is better, and that coat is fuller with less shedding. And by day 90, you're going to see more mobility because of the live enzymes are going to help with that in the aches and pains inside their joints. It's going to help with that big time in the inflammation. It's going to help, too, keep that energy level through the roof, help with their heart health and many other things. Try a Jumpstart trial bag of Rough Greens today. It's a $20 value. You get it for free. Just cover the cost of shipping and take the 90-day challenge. Go to roughgreens.com and use code CHAD. Roughgreens.com, code CHAD.
President Trump just held another cabinet meeting. Secretary of the U.S. Department of Agriculture highlighting what she says was a waste of taxpayer dollars within her department. And it wasn't just special money for gay and lesbian farmers, she claims. We'll tell you about it at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, my God. What special group got something now?
I'll just wait till you hear, Brother Chad.
Gay farmers, trans farmers, little farmers, tall farmers.
Little fellas.
Little fellas. Like Snow White and the seven little fellas.
7 little fellas.
But that bombed so bad this weekend.
Yeah, what was the take on it?
It was about $43 million. They need to make $700 million to get into from the red to the black. It's just not going to happen.
No.
I mean, she grabbed the bed a long time ago with all the wackiness she said. But on top of that, if you've seen any of it, if you see what Dopey looks like, it is the thing of nightmares.
Really?
Yeah. It's CGI. It's a thing of nightmares.
Wow.
You're like, that thing's going to get me at night. I can't sleep now. Thank you.
It's going to get me.
They're just over and over again. They continue to just, it's not hard. Well, I want it to be about let me tell you something. Snow White, Prince, you dodged a bullet on this one. Let her sleep. She's really whiny. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to let her sleep. It's okay with that. So, I mean, it was.
How about some peanut butter with that apple, honey?
Oh, good God. Just awful. Awful, he said. So this weekend I went out there. I want you guys to listen. You're going to love this. So this is a lady. I was trying to have conversations with several people, and I've got a lot of good audio. The problem is some of the audio, a lot of the stuff that I've got behind me, people are chanting and saying and dropping F-bombs and this, that, and the other. So when you're interviewing somebody, it's hard to get it where they weren't, there wasn't somebody saying something. So I'm listening to this lady and these people chant about, Elon Musk. And I went to ask her a question, and that's when, she she lost her mind.
No kings! I'll bring my phone. No Nazis! No kings! No Nazis! No kings! No Nazis!
So you think he's a Nazi?
Who?
I don't know. You say no kings, no Nazi. I want to know who the Nazi is.
Nazis, plural.
Oh, Nazis. Who's the Nazis?
Okay, I'm not talking to you. Are you a press? Are you from the press?
Yeah.
So I tried to tell her, yeah, look, I'm from here. I tried to show her all the stuff of who I was. Now, I just want you guys to understand that there are several people there that I had interviewed who listen to the show who say, no, this guy's totally fine. He's not trying to get you gotcha. He's not trying to do any of that. We know who he is. He works at a local station here. And she just still went on and on.
I will talk to the press. I'm not talking to you. Do you have a badge?
No, do you want me to show you a picture of where I'm from? So that way you can see?
See your badge.
We don't.
Okay, then please.
All right, there we go. Another solid individual there. I'm not going to talk to you because you could be somebody who's trying to help me. It's okay.
Now, here's the thing. She followed me from interview to interview for like 30 minutes, telling them don't talk to me. And finally, one guy said, lady, can you shut up? I know who he is. I listened to him. I trust him. It's going to be fine. It was crazy. I'm like, because there were gotcha people out there.
Why did you not have your badge with you?
I don't need no stinking badge.
Man, you can't call yourself press if you don't have a badge.
So I know
that's one of the most ridiculous things I've heard. It's like we've never required people from the press to have papers.
So yeah, if I'm going to talk to the governor and I'm going to a press conference, that's one thing. I'm out here at a rally / whatever it is. You're here. This is who I am. This is what I'm showing her. She didn't care. It's not real. She was perfect example of wackiness. And there were trolls out there. There were some trolls out there. I'm not going to lie to you. Both sides had their own trolls. There were people trolling the MAGA folks, people trying to troll the some of the people that were protesting, especially at the end of the line, because you had the MAGA folk about 15, 20 feet away and playing their, YMCA and stuff and holding up their American flags. And you had other people that were going over and trolling them. It was a back and forth kind of troll, and that made me laugh a little bit. But this lady was just, don't talk. She was just walking around. Don't talk to him. Don't talk to him. Don't talk to him. You people are nuts. Yeah, she was. She was like, and again, Nazis. And I asked several people, Okay, so tell me the Nazi thing. He said, well, the salute was a big one, right? That's always a big one. Well, he saluted somebody. It's not really true, right? So that's not it. So the other stuff that's Nazis, like, what he did, which is, did he enslave a bunch of people? Did he murder a bunch of people and then decide to turn them to ash? Did he do any of those things? I mean, I would like to know. And they couldn't really put it. It's just something to say. And that's what I got a lot out of this, was they mimicked so much that's on the media. They're not interested in anything other than their side of a story. And they're scared because they've been told by the media on numerous occasions that the world is coming to an end. Their world, they know it. And the one thing that, as I said it to Chris as we started the show on our crossover, is it is hard for them to hear through the fear that is in their mind. No matter what you show them, they don't understand that. And we have this response in this world now where when we hear something, it becomes implanted in our brain, and getting ourselves to change our mind from that first time we heard something is virtually impossible. It's sad. It's sad indeed. Bunch of other stuff still to get to this hour, including a hilarious story about what they're doing in Switzerland that me may want to try here. If you're missing the show, shame on you. Grab the podcast. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
.1:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 5 minutes. President Trump just held another cabinet meeting. Secretary of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, highlighted what she says was a waste of taxpayer dollars within her department.
We canceled a $600,000 contract out of Louisiana that was studying the menstrual cycles of transgender men, a $600,000 contract. We canceled another contract out of a university in the middle of the country that focused on getting more diversity, equity, and inclusion into our pest management industry.
Rollins says the department canceled hundreds of thousands of dollars for educating queer and transgender farmers on what she called food justice in San Francisco and New York. Columbia University complying with the demands of the Trump administration after the president threatened to withhold $400 million worth of federal funding. The university accused of allowing pro-Palestinian protests and harassment of Jewish students. Columbia officials say they will ban masks on campus and will exert stricter controls over its Middle East Studies department. And President Trump said today he would be placing a 25% tariff on all imports from any country that buys oil or gas from Venezuela. Here's Karen Travers.
The White House says the Signal message thread reported by The Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg, sharing details of the planned strike on Houthi targets in Yemen this month, quote, appears to be authentic. Goldberg, the magazine's editor-in-chief, writes in his piece about how he was included on an encrypted chat with Trump cabinet officials and Vice President Vance. Trump National Security Council spokesman Ryan Hughes says in a statement, quote, we are reviewing how an inadvertent number was added to the chain. Hughes adds that the thread demonstrates what he calls deep and thoughtful policy coordination between senior officials.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Retirement Ready Toolkit from our good friends over at Beacon. So recent presidential election, it's happened. Here we are now in full flow. We're 2 months into this thing. There's nerves. There's all kinds of issues that may happen when it comes to things like tariffs and who knows what. So you're looking around, you're thinking, hey, what's going on with my investments? And I don't want to retire or unretire because I have to. That's where Beacon comes in with their free Retirement Ready Toolkit. Now, call 615-488-9303. They're local. You can sit down and talk with them. It's 615-488-9303. Inside of the free Retirement Ready Toolkit, you're going to get a Money Enough for Life book, retirement planning checklist, and a maximizing your retirement income white paper. Again, this is no cost to you, no obligation, and no pressure whatsoever. You deserve to know what's going on out there and have people that are working for you. Do not put yourself in a position where you have to unretire because you have to. Let Beacon help you with that. Call, get the Retirement Ready Toolkit today, 615-488-9303 from Beacon. That's 615-488-9303 or online at AskBeaconNow.com. I love all these sweet things that we're canceling. Like some of them are like, are you serious? Who came up with that? Every time. What were the last ones? So we got rid of the gay farmers. And by the way, they're still just farmers, but you just can't.
Yeah, they just don't get extra money because they're gay.
Yeah.
No, apparently there was money to study menstruation in transgender men.
Okay.
That apparently was awarded in Louisiana.
So money for so that's a woman who became a man, but still a woman because you don't change the inside.
Right.
Okay. So confusing. If there's a chart that we have to go through, like a pointing chart, that's not a good thing. How much money was that?
That was $600,000.
Whoa, good money if you can get it. Man, we got to set up some phony thing. We don't ever have the beauty of it. You set it up. Nobody's going to say.
I would like to let the audience and both of you know that I now identify as a transformer.
Transformer.
I need my check. Thank you.
You're a robot in disguise. Well,
I just know I heard there's money out there. I need some of the money.
Well, yeah. Well, everybody does. Apparently, they're handing it out. Come up with your own NGO. It can't be that hard to set up an NGO, can it? Try to get something.
Lobbyists are doing it. It's not that hard.
No. It's got to be. Man, I was looking at this. They were talking about a homeless NGO in California where, like, the board members are, like, making $1 million a year. Homeless is good business.
Goodness.
$1 million a year. I'm trying to really care. I care for them. Do you? Do you really? For $1 million, I care for them too. Good God.
Absolutely.
Insane. And meanwhile, Bernie Sanders is going to give everybody free health care. And I want you to listen to this because I'm going to play it right behind here is a woman who gets free health care.
And everybody knows there is something wrong when we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people. So Alexandria and I and others are going to work with you to finally do what should have been done decades ago, pass a Medicare for all single-payer program.
All right, single payer. It's going to be great. So if you guys want to know about single payer, this lady here in single payer in Canada, very excited about the single payer situation she finds herself in.
Today on How F***ed is Canadian Healthcare, I need an MRI to see if I have a f***ing brain tumor. And go ahead, guess when it is. Go ahead, guess. It's in 2026. 2026. My MRI to see if I have a brain tumor is in 2026. It's March 2025 right now. And if you thought this was bad, it's actually worse than you thought, because the appointment where we decided that I need this MRI was in December of last year. So it's not like it's 10 months from now, it's 13 months. It's a 13-month wait to see if I have a brain tumor. At first, I just thought this was a mistake because having an MRI every year is like a monitoring timeline. Like, I already have an MRI every year for my spine tumor, which is why we think maybe I have a brain tumor too. So I was like, hey, they just made a mistake and scheduled this on a monitoring timeline. But no, I called and the clinic was like, yeah, the doctor actually requested that you have it earlier, but this is the next spot we have. We're seeing about 13 months for these brain and spine MRIs. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Canada, where healthcare is free, but only if you can afford to wait.
You guys excited about that? Ma'am, we could have saved you had you gotten here sooner. Well, you told me I couldn't come in sooner.
Matt's told a story about a friend of his who had to have emergency brain surgery, and they had to take a piece of his skull out, and they put it in his abdomen to make sure the bone didn't die. And when it came time to put it back in, they're like, oh, well, that's not an emergency. You'll have to wait.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
When I was in Europe, so I was over there playing soccer, and I was on the NHL, so it's National Health Services. So I had my NHS card, that's there. And I got sick. And I lost, like, so much weight so fast. It was ridiculous. I lost about 20 pounds in a week. And I was struggling. I couldn't get in to see a doctor. I was like, I don't think you guys realize I'm losing weight like you cannot believe. It's easier for me to come to America to see a doctor. And look, if you break your arm and you've got to go get your arm set, fantastic. Emergency surgery with appendicitis, great. If you have to, I don't know, get an MRI, issues. So what you're going to find when and if this ever gets to fruition, because I think at some point in time, based on the fact that insurance have been so overregulated and people are so frustrated that people are going to throw their hands up, and it will eventually, I think, pass. Is it going to happen tomorrow? No. But I think at some point in time it probably will. But what you're going to have happen then is what's happened to the rest of the world. If you have money, you still have private insurance. So you may be on their national health service and this, that, and the other, but you've got private insurance. So you go see a doctor out of your own pocket because you're paying for it. And you'll see that the way that you think it's now this huge gap between the haves and the have-nots, you think that. Wait till you see what happens when the wealthy and the well-to-do and the upper middle class can afford to go out of their own pocket and leave everything for the rest. I mean, this lady says she's got a potential brain tumor. We'll see you next year. Well, if it was December 20th or 30th, okay. It's not. It's March. Oh, goodness me. Crazy indeed. This right here is, as we were talking about the people that I was able to have conversations with this past weekend out at Tesla. One gentleman, I was very, very nice, by the way. And so many people I found were angry at the entire system, not just the right and Elon Musk. And they were just as angry at Democrats for being a hot mess. And they were angry across the board in a lot of different ways. Feel like the system's rigged, feel like that they're just as guilty as everybody else, and feel very frustrated. This guy was very nice to chill and talk for a little while with me.
I'm out here because I'm tired of what's going on in this country. I've been apathetic my entire life to politics.
But when they start taking freedoms away from any of us, they can take them away from all of us. So they started with the veterans. My brother was a veteran. Unfortunately, when he came back after the Iraq War, he took his own life because he didn't have access. And they're taking that stuff away from the vets that they already have. We also...
No, it's okay.
No, I'm just tired. We're all humans. Why are we attacking people that bring greatness into this country? We're all immigrants. My great-grandfather is from Germany. My grandfather fought Nazis. He hit the beach in Normandy the day after D-Day. He fought Nazis. Why am I having to fight Nazis in America right now? This is unacceptable.
And we started talking about that. And then you hear the chanting in the background. Not all of it was PG. Let me just say that. You had some people walking up and down with a bullhorn half the time. But as you guys saw, and you probably have seen, we're going to play some of this tonight where it's easier because it's online, so people don't freak out about it. But then we had a nice conversation about the frustration of why we're all so angry at each other.
Why are we so hateful towards each other? We've let people be demonized. First, it was the border people. Then it was the trans. Then it's the gays. Now it's the veterans. Now it's the Social Security, the older people. How did we get here? When does it stop? When do they stop coming for? Because they start them, it starts slow. Then how are we all protected? Like, as soon as you speak out against the regime, you're in trouble.
And he and I had a conversation. That's not true. I said, nobody's upset with trans. And he was I was like, no. I said, you think that, but I said, this is about kids. And he agreed that you shouldn't be talking about kids. You shouldn't be telling a 4-year-old that they can change he was all over that. He's absolutely agreed with that. But I said, look, man, part of the reason we're in the situation we're in is because everybody out here is looking for the gotcha moment. Everybody out here is driven, that's out here with the cameras talking. They're talking about what? What can I do to get somebody to do something stupid? What can I do, as we used to say back in the day, you nutpick. CIA, that was what they were famous for, right? If there was really a spacecraft, well, let me tell you something. If there was 99 people that were fine and one person that was missing teeth and talk like this, they're going to get that person because that person is going to discount everybody else that was there. And he knew I wasn't there for that. Again, our conversation, we're going to play some more of it later on tonight online where there's some language that's out there that, I don't want to get Bell and I in trouble for not hitting the dump button at the right time. But I asked him, I said, dude, this is all about algorithms as much as in anything else.
Correct, because algorithms hate drives clicks and views. So it makes sense business-wise, right, to write algorithms to where people get online and they get in their echo chambers. I can pull up a Twitter account and it's going to be what I want to see. You can pull up a Twitter account, it's going to be what you want to see. The comments are going to be what you want and what I want. We don't have conflicting ideas. We don't talk anymore.
We need information, not affirmation.
Correct. We need to speak to each other again. We need to get back to where when we have a problem, the difference, we talk to each other. We come to an understanding. No one's ever going to get exactly what they want.
Yeah.
The beauty of compromise.
And we don't do that anymore. We don't. And both sides are guilty of, they would rather have 100% of nothing than 70% of something that benefits everybody. Because the algorithms that says that's the best way for them to raise money and to stay relevant and to get likes and clicks and whatnot. I've got friends, the business they're in is likes and clicks and shares. It is not in telling the truth. It is not in informing people. It is strictly for the entertainment purpose. And if they can get some journalistic things in there along the way, maybe they do, but they understand that's how they get paid. That's how they get paid. And it's sad. And he was very reasonable in a lot of things. And, Adam from the borough, who was there as well, really nice guy. And he, he's like, look, I look at all sides. He was not happy with Doge, but, but understands too. He also said to me, hey, look, you guys won. Republicans won. We're exercising our voice. Republicans won, though. And I said, yeah, they won because the last administration was so bad. And he recognized that. I mean, we're just talking about trans and queer farmers, giving money to them. $600,000 for studying menstrual cycles of trans men, which is basically women who are LARPing as men. This is, but you start adding those things up. Is it come up with a lot? No, not particularly huge money when you talk about the fact that we've got billions and trillions of dollars out there. But it's also part of a bigger thing where people are seeing activists push things and gaslight America on so many things. that really should be minor, and they should be a conversation that lasts for 30 seconds, and we all move on. It's frustrating. There's no doubt. A lot of interesting people out there. Like I said, both sides were kind of representative. You know, you had a lot of the Tesla trucks. You know what's funny? It's still the truck, man. It's still the truck. Nobody seems to care anything about Tesla cars. It's the truck. If you're driving the truck, people are mad. My uncle's like, I'm going to go buy one of those. He texts me later. He goes, I'm not spending $115,000 on a truck. He goes, it's neat, and I like it, but I don't know if it's worth that. Now, there's some that are cheaper, but he goes, you know, he's in L.A., so everything's 10 times what it should be. But still, I get it. Like, I don't think, I can't spend that kind of money on something like that. It's just, that's not me. I don't care about vehicles. And somebody said, did they sell any vehicles? I said, I got to be honest, I don't think they did. I don't think they sold too many vehicles on that day. But you know what? At least people now know where the Tesla dealership is. And by the way, the Tesla people that I did talk to said there's been no problems. Nobody's come over and tried to torch anything. And even with the stuff moved to another place where they store some of that stuff because they don't have a big lot, nothing's happened to that place either. So that's good news. Behaving yourselves. Excellent. Way to keep your hands to yourself. Coming up, what are they doing in Switzerland that maybe we should think about doing here when it comes to our anger, frustration, and anxiety? We'll talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Prize Picks is amazing. Baseball season's here. Hockey's going. Of course, the madness of March. Basketball, the NBA playoffs, all that stuff's happening. With Prize Picks, you have a chance to win. And it's great. So you go to Prize Picks, you download the app, use my code Chad. When you do, you're going to get $50 the minute you play your first $5 lineup. And you can set a lineup in so many ways. You could say, I'm just going to do, LeBron James. I think he's going to score over 25.5 points tonight. And I think Steph Curry is going to make over 5.5 3-pointers. It's above or below. Simple as that. Or maybe you want to go, I'm going to do a cross sports. So I think that Steph is going to get this, but I also think that Ohtani is going to get more than 1.5 hits in this game. So you can do it in several different ways, and it's simple and easy. It's about the player. It's about above. It's about below. It's not about picking lines or any of this other stuff. It's so much fun. It's fantasy done right, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money, tons of daily promos and prizes and opportunity. And remember, that $50 bonus doesn't matter if you win or lose. The minute you play your first $5 lineup, you get it. Go to Prize Pick, download the app today. Use my code Chad to get that $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be 21 and present in Tennessee. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
More claims of government waste coming out of President Trump's cabinet meeting this morning, including programs for queer and trans farmers. President Trump taking action on Venezuelan oil, coming up at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
This is one of my favorite episodes of Family Guy.
Did I have a heart attack? No, you had a panic attack. Or in medical terms, a heart attack for wussies. Hey, we have a bet going. Do you remember if you put your wrist to your forehead like a Nancy boy when you fainted? I choose not to answer. Peter, you need to get your stress under control. I'm texting you a link to a collection of songs called Yacht Rock. Anytime I'm feeling stressed, I play this music and it really mellows me out. I think it'll work for you. Well, what is that? Is that like da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da? No, it's more like la-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, good. It's la-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Because I don't like that. Da-da-da-da-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. No, I assure you, it's la-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have more music to prescribe to sick patients.
Well, you think that's funny, but check this out. Look what they're doing in Switzerland.
Recently, the city of Neuchâtel, Switzerland, started a new program in which doctors can prescribe a visit to a local museum. A city council member described it as a museum order.
There are 4 museums involved, and the idea is to promote health through culture as a way to get better.
Tickets will be free for these patients. They've dedicated over $10,000 to the program. And you can see why mental health professionals would be on board.
Of course. Yes, we want to go there, and only something white people would do.
Art therapy has been shown to help people recover from trauma, children with language difficulties, seniors with dementia. A World Health Organization report said it even helps prevent frailty and premature mortality. But what's interesting here is doctors say it's not just about your mental health. Think about every time you visited a museum. It's not a loungy experience. You're standing, you're walking. For an elderly patient who's getting less mobile, a museum trip could be the exact right amount of exercise. Surgeons have recently been preaching the benefits of prehab, exercising before surgery. It gets your muscles engaged, it gets your cardiovascular system working harder.
So there you go. They're pushing you out there to go and prescribe you an opportunity to go to an art museum. I got to be honest, it sounds kind of nice. We should take a therapy day, all of us. We should go to an art museum. We should relax, watch it. Now, do you want to go to a children's museum where we get to play with all the stuff? That's always fun, too. Finger paint? Or do you want to go and look at like other art that looks like it was finger paint, but somebody spent $9 million on it? Either way, it's the same. We get out of the house. There you go, kids. Little something you didn't know today. Coming up, third hour. What's going on with the Democrats? Talk a little bit about that. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And right now, got some breaking news out of our nation's capital where Hyundai just announced billions of dollars of investment and purchases in the U.S. Honda, too. Hyundai says it's going to invest $20 billion in its U.S. operations, including building a new steel plant in Louisiana. And Honda says it's going to buy at least 400,000 hybrid battery packs per year from operations here in the U.S. We have more claims of waste coming out of today's Trump cabinet meeting. U.S. Department of Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins says they've canceled millions of dollars in contracts to teach queer and transgender farmers about food justice, and studies on the menstrual cycles of transgender men in Louisiana, and a contract to get more DEI in the pest management industry.
These are nonsensical. It makes zero sense to use taxpayer dollars to fund these.
The editor-in-chief of The Atlantic says he was inadvertently included on a text chain with Trump cabinet officials as they deliberated whether to move forward with the U.S. strike on Yemen over a week ago. The White House says it appears to be authentic. Trump National Security Council spokesman Brian Hughes says in a statement, quote, "We are reviewing how an inadvertent member was added to the chain." Hughes adds that the thread demonstrates what he calls deep and thoughtful policy coordination between senior officials. And President Trump threatening to take action on Venezuelan oil, which has China's communist regime taking note. Here's Karen Travers.
President Trump writes on social media that Venezuela has been, quote, very hostile to the U.S. and accused that country of purposefully sending tens of thousands of criminals here. Because of that, the president says he'll put a 25% tariff on all imports from any country that buys oil or gas from Venezuela. This will go into effect starting April 2nd, part of a big round of tariffs expected on that day. China could be impacted by this move as a major buyer of crude from Venezuela. Venezuela also supplies to the U.S. About 3% of all oil and gas brought into this country comes from Venezuela.
Columbia University complying with demands of the Trump administration after the president threatened to withhold $400 million worth of federal funding for allegedly allowing pro-Palestinian protesters to harass Jewish students. According to a memo obtained by ABC News, Columbia officials say they will ban masks on campus and will exert stricter controls over its Middle East Studies department. 23andMe filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The CEO has resigned, though she will stay on the board and possibly try to buy 23andMe herself. Reports say it comes at a time when the genetic testing company has struggled to make money and suffered a cyber attack back in 2023 where hackers accessed the information of nearly 7 million customers. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Birch Gold. Let me tell you something about Birch Gold. They're amazing. You don't buy a life vest or a life raft after the boat sinks. It's too late. Gold's the same way. Gold is there to protect you. It's a great way. It's at all-time highs and continuing to move, and the opportunities are there. And it's a great way to hedge yourself. You've worked so hard. Your investments, you work so hard to build up in your life much that you think is going to be there for you. And as you know, things can go sideways. Having gold is a great way to protect yourself to the downside. Text the word Benson to 989898 today for Birch Gold. They're going to get you out an investor kit. It's pretty simple and easy. They're not some crazy hard sell. They just want to show you why it's a great thing to have to diversify what you have out there and to protect yourself to the downside. Inflationary worries about what's going on with tariffs, a weakening dollar. Gold is a great place that you really should think about, how can I diversify and why should I keep my money? They're going to show you how easy it is to switch over to a gold IRA and take your existing IRA or 401k at no extra cost and move it over there. Text the word Benson now to 989898 for the investor kit from Birch Gold. That's the word Benson you text to 989898 for Birch Gold. Thunderstruck indeed, kids. You know, it's interesting. I was talking to people, out to Tesla, and they're always about, it's the rich. The rich. I'm like, yeah, the rich. A lot of people are pissed and angry at the rich. I get it. I get that and it's funny, they don't hate the rich, because the left, especially the far left, want you to think that the rich is the reason for everybody's problem. The rich is the reason for your ills. The rich is the reason for this. But Sarah Sargon came up the other day. She posted this, and it was very interesting, talking about the wealthy and who they supported. As I was talking to some people at the Tesla protest, I was telling them, you do realize it's people under $100,000 who got Trump over the line. It's people under $100,000 who pushed Trump. It's the working class that the left abandoned, by the way. The left abandoned the working class. They said, bye-bye. And what happened? They went to Trump. Trump speaks like a regular person. I think Dak Shepard had on Andrew Schultz, who's a comedian and has a great podcast, and Flagrant One. They were talking about, Trump in the Oval Office after the whole Zelensky thing, and he's answering the question, and the lady says something about, what if, this happens? And she goes, what if what? What if a bomb falls on your head right now? I don't live in what ifs. And he's like, that's a normal person. That's what they sound like. But the left abandonment of all of the things that they were supposedly for, right? The working class and all this stuff. The right was the evil side of things. The right was the rich white guy in Wall Street smoking a cigar going, ha, 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 crushing the little man. And no, wrong. When you hear the numbers, you're like, oh, my God, I didn't even realize that.
For every one billionaire that backed President Trump, Kamala Harris had 2. 9 of the 10 richest counties in America are represented by Democrats. 65% of Americans making over $500,000 a year today are Democrats. 75% of hedge fund managers who make political donations donate to Democrats, and 95% of political donations from the top 3 management consulting firms go to Democrats.
Democrats. They're the ones who soaked it all up. They're the ones who really became the elitist group, right? It's all about college. It's all about higher learning, the academia world that they soaked up. It was Hollywood. It was all of the things. And they left behind the average person. When the average person who's a Democrat looks out there and says, yeah, you know what? I think this trans thing's a bit too much for me. I don't care about, marriage equality and any of this kind of stuff, but I just think it's a bit too much. I think 12 million people coming across the border is a bit too much for me. You can't tell me that I need to just buy this. I think that you're gaslighting me in many different ways, and you're telling me that, hey, I'm uneducated, and because of that, that's a problem. And so what happens? Trump came and spoke the language, which was, I'm a dude, here I am, let's have a conversation. And it was what worked. It's what got him over the line, along with immigration, a bunch of other stuff. But that was part of it. And that's where he won. And that's why you see this huge fight going on in the Democratic Party, because they have no idea which way to go. They think we should go this way, when really we should go that way. I should pivot this way. No, we should pivot that way. They're a hot mess, and it's hilarious. Don't get me wrong. But the biggest thing is I've never seen a group of people never understand humans and be able to read a room like them.
Meanwhile, President Trump absolutely crushed with Americans who make under $100,000 a year. The Democrats are the party of the wealthy. And Donald Trump is representing the working class because he simply lifted the pro-worker elements of the Democrats' agenda when they abandoned the working class to cater to their rich base. This is all performance art. And what's so upsetting about it is they are being paid by the American people to serve them, and they are doing nothing of the kind.
They're serving nothing. In fact, they're failing in ways that we're going to go over here at the bottom of the hour that are amazing how bad they're failing, which is great for the Republicans. Here's the thing. Here's my worry about the Republicans. They're the Republicans. When given the opportunity, we have seen both of these parties snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Going, I think we're going to win. Let's do something stupid, which is what you don't want. But it happens. But they became the elitist group. And it is, I mean, you know, whenever you even see them talk about it on MSNBC, CNN, or Fox, or whenever the pollsters break it down, it's always the uneducated. People without a college degree. You mean the people that built this country? The people that were the strength in the middle class? The people that pushed this country forward? The people that to this day sit there and they're making near six figures without college debt? You mean those people? Those are, well, you know, they make it seem like they're knuckle draggers, they're mouth breathers. You know, they don't play polo, right? They bowl. Well, this is their failure. And they don't understand that. And they continue to make bad move after bad move. And God bless them. I hope they continue to do it. Now, I hope the Republicans can take advantage of it because I'm not quite sure. Because as we all know, they're Republicans. And they've been known to screw up in the past. And this weekend, I will tell you that while there were some constitutional conservatives out there protesting Doge and stuff, upset by some of the stuff, there were a lot of people out there protesting. They weren't happy with either party. They felt that the Democrats had jacked the pooch. And if you went around and asked everybody, what do you think of this party or that party, you got different answers. And some people didn't think that the left was left enough. Some people thought they had dropped the ball and continued to do so and continue to fight for the wrong things. So they're a hot mess. The one thing about, you can look at the Republicans, they're pretty unified in just about everything, which normally was a Democrat thing. They were kind of unified in a lot of different things. But this is something different. And we're seeing something that is much different. And the battle for where the Democrats go from here is up for grabs. And the party that makes the most noise, the people in the party that make the most noise, that doesn't work well with a lot of people in the party, i.e. the voters. And we're going to talk a bit about Ezra Klein and them coming up at the bottom of the hour because he was on with Bill Maher. And if you don't know who Ezra Klein is, he's an author. And he and Derek Thompson have a new book out called Abundance that many people out there think this is the roadmap to essentially their Project 2025 for the Democrats. Now, how true is that? I don't know. Is it common sense reality that they have in there? Absolutely. But can anybody pull it off? That's a great question. And there's a perfect example. Like we were talking earlier about, like Colombia's, they're already capitulating when it comes to, these crazy campus, insane protests that have gone on. And you've got people out there screaming and yelling already.
Trump's attacks on higher education will make going to college more expensive, more difficult, and less equitable. Targeting Columbia is intended to strike fear into the hearts of university students, teachers, and researchers everywhere. But we are unafraid. We are organizing. We are fighting back.
Go ahead and organize. Nobody's saying you can't organize. Nobody's saying you can't do stuff. What you can't do, though, is intimidate Jewish students or any students. You shouldn't. If you want to go and, I go to this thing on Saturday. Everybody was pretty cordial. There wasn't any craziness. There wasn't any yelling and screaming. Nobody was trying to stop somebody from going in and looking at a Tesla. That wasn't happening. But college campuses lost the plot and became a place where anti-Semitism was great for them. They're totally fine. Hey, it's a great thing, anti-Semitism. You couldn't get that anywhere else. Right? With any other group. You do that with a black group, you lose your mind. You do that with a group of Hispanics, you lose your mind. You do that with the LGBTQ plus IA community, it's over. But it was okay for the Jewish kids to apparently get yelled at, to get screamed at, to get, intimidated, to take over portions of the campus. That seemed to be okay in that situation. If the young Republicans would have taken over any part of that campus, people have lost their minds. So Trump said, you know what? Where do you hit schools? You hit them where it hurts the most, and that's money. And that's what he did. And already they're starting to capitulate. They're starting to pull back. Oh, we got to do this. We got to do that. But that's just common sense, which, again, isn't as common as people think in today's world. Meanwhile, Trump's battle with the courts continues.
On Friday, I asked the president whether he believes he has the authority to do that, round them up, deport them, and then not show the evidence that the courts have been asking for. The president said yes, that's what the law says, and that is what the country has asked for, and that's what's required to do right now.
And this judge and Trump are going back and forth, and this is going to continue. It's going to go to the Supreme Court. A vast majority of these cases were always meant to, at some point in time, get to the Supreme Court. Doesn't mean every one of them is going to. But USAID, that's going to end up at the Supreme Court. What can people get rid of? What can't they get rid of? Well, and these are just, give me a final ruling so I know which way to go. This right here is interesting when it comes to immigration, because I believe Trump, this is his easiest win at the Supreme Court, because I think he has absolutely the right to do this. Now, does it mean that mistakes, were or weren't made? And this judge, by the way, for the most part, isn't arguing whether or not he has the right to do this. Right now, the argument is, who are these people? You're not giving me information. And, oh, by the way, did you basically look at my order and say, I'm going to do this without? Now, the semantics of, well, we were over international waters, so it was in international airspace, so we were, that's the battle that's going on. But this was always meant to get to a higher court, because they need a ruling in their mind to, let's just get this done. Let me get a ruling. Let's get this thing completely done, and that way I know which way to go. And then when it comes to the other stuff, it's the same thing. Whether it's the Department of Education, USAID, all of these moves that they're making, those things are going straight to court. And when it finally gets to a place where the rulings come down, then you know how to pivot and go. So they're all part of the plan so they can have a roadmap. We'll see. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we are going to talk a little bit about Ezra Klein and them and their new book. It's a very interesting read. And it is supposedly a lot of people out there is like, this is the roadmap for the Democrats to get back. But when you listen to them talk about the Democrats, in particular, how the states have screwed things up so much, it is fascinating. We'll talk about that, bunch of other stuff straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. I read an article today in the New York Times talking about the fact that most back treatments, they don't work, right? Not saying all of them. Well, I'm here to say that's not true, because the back treatments they were talking about were silly, wackadoo. Let me tell you something. The Wellness Institute of Nashville, they got back treatments to work. They built a plan specifically for you. Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, they do things that others just don't do. The way they come at this is like nobody else out there. Right now, they've got the 47% off Big 47 offer going on because of president. It's the 47th president. See where I'm going with this? So the whole thing is there's no pills, right? There's no spinal creams. This is one of those things where it's non-surgical, and the opportunity to come at something with state-of-the-art, futuristic, amazing equipment and build a plan that is going to help your back really get to a point where you can live life again like you haven't before. Yeah, that's true. Most don't work. So ditch the rest and get with the best. And that's the Wellness Institute in Nashville. If you got issues with your back, it's time to get up and moving, and it's time to do it with Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Do it today. Call 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or go to painisbad.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Kids, lean. It's awesome. You're looking at me. I'm leaning in. I got this, baby. I could barely see you in there. Well, if you don't know what lean is, I've talked about it before. I take it a couple pills a day. It's doctors put this thing together to get you off the yo-yo dieting, man, which sucks. Man, don't you hate that? You feel good. You get into some clothes you haven't gotten into a while. You're like, this is working. And then all of a sudden, oh, God, 25 pounds back. Lean's going to help you in ways you cannot believe. No shots, no prescription, couple pills a day. It's going to be great with your energy. It's going to help with your blood sugar, first and foremost, which is great. You want that. You want that balance. Then your cravings. And then taking that fat, turning it into energy, which is awesome. Get off the yo-yo dieting, which is bad for your heart, increases heart attacks, strokes, type 2 diabetes, and get something that works, and that is lean. It is incredible. I want you to do this right now. Go to takelean.com, use code Benson20, and get 20% off. It is amazing. I use it every single day. My energy levels are through the roof. I don't have these wacky cravings and stuff, and it's getting me off that yo-yo diet that is too much. Go to takelean.com, use code Benson20, takelean.com, code Benson20.
It appears President Trump's security team accidentally texted plans for airstrikes to a magazine editor. This story and more at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I got to be honest. This is a hot mess. I was reading that. Have you read some of the stuff that's in there? Like, they're like, hey, we're going to do all this stuff.
I have not seen the thread.
And the guy from The Atlantic's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Appreciate you letting me know. Nobody said this was off the record.
Yeah.
An exclusive, if you will.
Yes. It was bizarre, but here's just a couple quick things. So J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth are on this. It's like a signal group. And they're talking about, I hate bailing out Europe again. Let's just make sure our messaging is tight here. And if there's anything we can due up front to minimize risk to Saudi oil facilities, we should do it. So the Saudis are already involved. So, and then it goes on to, Europeans freeloading. They're pathetic. As I heard, the president was clear, green light, but we soon make it clear to Egypt and Europe what we expect in return. We also need to figure out how to enforce such a requirement, e.g., if Europe doesn't remunerate, then what? And, so there's several things in here, but this is embarrassing. There was one number.
Yeah.
That happened to be the dude from the Atlantic. That ain't good. That's not a good look.
Got to tighten that up.
Absolutely. Speaking of tighten it up, Bell, tell everybody what ain't easy.
Poping is not easy.
Not easy.
Poping ain't easy.
It ain't never been easy. It ain't easy. It ain't going to continue to be easy. It's a tough thing.
Some still concerned about his health.
Bueno, se enfermó.
This nun from Colombia saying, "Today I had the joy of seeing him. I was very happy, but at the same time, I felt sad because he didn't look well. Doctors say the Pope's condition has stabilized enough to return to his Vatican residence, but he will still need treatment, including oxygen and physiotherapy."
Yeah, he don't look good. I saw him in his little Fiat. Did you see that, driving around in a Fiat? Because, of course, ciao, Bella. You couldn't drive him around a Toyota, not in Italy.
Big F-350.
That'd be so awesome. A dually.
He's just sitting in the back.
He's sitting in the front of this little Fiat, and he looks almost grayish green. He didn't look good. I mean, he's 88 or whatever.
Yeah, he's up there, man.
And as good as this is, it's we got to think. This is probably, I'm not saying this to be mean, I'm going to say this probably his last Easter. I'm going to say it. I'm putting it out there. And I don't want to say it to be mean, but it just, even if he survives much longer, it's just, like we said, poping ain't easy. The last pope knew it wasn't easy. He took time off. Said, I'm done. I'm going to live next door in a little poping area. And he did. He was pope-tacular. This is the same thing. It ain't easy. It's tough. On top of that, man, they're going behind the scenes. I've seen some of that conclave and watched it all the way through.
Yeah.
They're already jockeying.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they're ready, man. They're throwing blows behind the scenes. They're getting ready. They're like, it's time. It's time. Where are we going to get the next pope from? Who's going to be a part of it? They're making cutting deals with each other.
And who knows? Pope Francis may be telling them who they should appoint.
Yeah, but are they listening?
It's true.
Are they listening? Somebody asked if there was a security classification of the email. It wasn't an email.
It was a text.
It was a text. It was even worse. How did nobody notice there was a number on there that nobody knew who?
That would be like me, you, and Bell winding up on that text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just so bizarre. But you know what?
And of all the people that you end up accidentally texting, it's somebody basically in an opposition newspaper.
Yeah. The Atlantic. And it's their editor-in-chief.
Yeah. We got to tighten that up.
Let's get this going, guys. Come on. We got to do better, all right? That's all we're saying. We got to do better. Coming up, we're going to talk about, there's a new book out called Abundance, and it is a very interesting book. And these two guys who put this thing together, people are saying, look, this is the game changer for the Democrats if they follow this. And Ezra Klein was on with Bill Maher. We'll talk a little bit about that straight ahead. It is Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
.2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes, and it appears President Trump's security team accidentally texted plans for airstrikes to a magazine editor.
The White House says the Signal message thread reported by The Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg, sharing details of the planned strike on Houthi targets in Yemen this month, quote, appears to be authentic. Goldberg, the magazine's editor-in-chief, writes in his piece about how he was included on an encrypted chat with Trump cabinet officials and Vice President Vance. Trump National Security Council spokesman Brian Hughes says in a statement, quote, we are reviewing how an inadvertent number was added to the chain. Hughes adds that the thread demonstrates what he calls deep and thoughtful policy coordination between senior officials.
Karen Travers at the White House. Hyundai and Honda announcing billions of dollars of investments and purchases in the U.S. in the face of tariffs. Hyundai says it will invest $20 billion in its U.S. operations, including building a new steel plant in Louisiana. Honda, in response to tariffs, reportedly signed a deal to buy hybrid batteries from Toyota's battery plant in North Carolina, 400,000 batteries a year. Honda currently sources its batteries from Japan and other global regions. Second Lady Usha Vance will visit Greenland on Thursday with an American delegation that includes National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and Secretary of Energy Chris Wright. The White House says her visit will include stops at historical sites, learning about the country's heritage, and attending Greenland's national dog sled race.
I'm also coming to celebrate the long history of mutual respect and cooperation between our nations, and to express hope that our relationship will only grow stronger in the coming years.
It comes at a time when President Trump continues to say the U.S. will take control of Greenland. Greenland's prime minister calls the trip, quote, very aggressive American pressure. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Some of you out there are still fascinated by the trans farmers. If you guys haven't heard, there's going to be no more trans farmers. They got rid of them. That's it. You know, Trump again destroying trans farmers.
Yeah, there was extra money set aside for them.
Set aside. It was over here in a box. It was in a trans farmer box. It was a pink John Deere box. John Queer.
That was terrible. That was terrible. You should be beat for that one.
That's what they said to queer farmers. The lady's like, I don't even know what that means. I don't know either. I thought you were just a farmer.
Yeah.
Oh, but remember, you know what? Imagine, remember farmersonly.com?
Yes.
You don't have to be lonely at farmersonly.com. That'll be farm grinders.
I always thought, you know, if gay farmers were just called farmers.
They were just, whatever happened to why do you have to be something?
Yeah.
Why can't you just be an American, a human?
I'm a farmer.
Yeah. Like, isn't that what you want? Like, by the way,
I'm a bank teller, but I'm a gay one.
Yeah. Like, oh, well, what's it do for me? Nothing. Does your money change? Like, do I get more money? Because I tell you what, if I go to the bank and there's a gay bank teller and they give me more money than I have,
I will only stand in that line.
I will. Yes, I'm going there. I'm going, dude. You can go to the straight ones all you want. This gay one over here, whoo, handing out money left, right, and center all day. This is so stupid. This is what ends up making everybody go, ugh. And this is why the Democrats continue to fail. There's a new book out called Abundance, and Derek Thompson and Ezra Klein put this together. Now, if you don't know Ezra Klein, he is not a righty. He's a lefty. But Ezra is a smart guy. Ezra's not nuts. And Ezra's looked around and said, whoo, Democrats, you're a hot mess. And he went on with Bill Maher this weekend, and they were talking about, well, it started out with taxes and regulations. And if you guys don't know anything about taxes and regulations, it started out with California and the insanity of which this stuff takes place.
California is projected to lose 3 seats, New York 2, also going to lose a seat, Minnesota, Oregon, Rhode Island, Illinois, all blue states. Who's getting these? Texas, Florida, Idaho, and Utah. I mean, this looks like game over. You know, and the reason why people are voting with their feet is taxes and regulation. I did 3 years with a sign here that said, how long is it going to take me to get my solar hooked up? 3 years. This state has almost 400,000 regulations. What amounts? I just put in a new roof because the fire, I thought, oh, let's get a roof that's not going to burn up. 2 inspections. Why are you inspecting my roof? It's my roof. If it falls on me, that's my problem.
And by the way, here's a perfect example. My little brother bought a Tesla. He's on his second Tesla. Now, he is, for a young guy at 25, he just paid cash for his latest Tesla, and he bought, like, the super high-end one. He still has no charging station at his house, and it's been 2+ years because of the insanity of trying to get it passed through all this lunacy. And when you heard Bill Maher talking about the loss of seats, that is important because it is coming. Now, wait to hear how many regulations, I talked to a girl this week out there, young girl at the Tesla thing, and she says, well, California does it right. I said, California is chasing people away left, right, and center. California is chasing people away because you can't do anything in California. You move California's politics to anywhere else in the country, it changes. And it becomes a different politics. Purple at best for them, most likely red if it's 4 seasons, including some really cold ones. You know what doesn't happen? It's easy for them to be who they are because it's beautiful and you've got all the great, people that are there who are part of Hollywood and all this, that, and the other, and you've got the tech world and there's no doubt who's got probably the best, state colleges in the country. You run up and down, you look at it, it's great. The problem is it's all because of the weather. People stayed there because of the weather. They grew the economy because of the weather. Because for 360 days a year, you have nothing but basically beautiful sunshine. And then it became a one-party state. And listen to how many regulations.
And we're taxed more than any other state. People are leaving these kind of states for places where they're not, they feel the heavy breath of government on them. It's not that hard for Democrats to understand this, but they seem to be incapable of doing anything about it.
400,000 regulations is what California has. 400,000 regulations. To get something done in California, you have to jump through so many hoops. You have to do so many things that it's just not worth it. You want to put in a home? Good luck to you. Good luck to you. It's going to take you forever and a day. You want to move a tree in your front yard that you planted that is now becoming an issue. It's not as simple as you think. But when he talked about all the seats that these states are losing, that one blue wall is going to disappear. Meaning there's going to be places that Democrats win all the time, but because of the changing of the demographics, the electorate is going to change in such a way that the college is going to make it so dominant for the Republicans.
Right, the blue wall would no longer be enough for them to win. That's how bad it is, right?
Wow.
And that's because they are driving
people out, working class families out of the states they govern because the cost of living is too high. And the cost of living is too high in part for regulatory reasons, in part for taxes. But the big problem is they just don't have enough of the things people need. Not enough homes, not enough energy, not a government capable of delivering.
And that's Ezra Klein. So their new book, Abundance, talks about the fact that they've chased everybody away. They have made it virtually impossible for you to live in their state. And they've done it because they're a one-party state with zero repercussions, to the point where the supermajority, they could look at somebody like Gavin Newsom and say, screw you, we can do what we want. We can override your veto. We can crush your soul. We can do whatever we want. And by the way, don't try to blame Republicans for this, is what they talk about in their book. You can't. You can't blame Republicans over the fact that you tax more than anybody, that the regulatory is so great that it destroys them. Like you cannot, there's nothing you can do to blame Republicans or anybody on the right. And if you don't figure it out, not only, it's not just LA and San Francisco or California in general, it's New York, it is Illinois, it is all of these places that are losing out to Tennessee, to Florida, to Texas. They're all coming here. What's going to happen? As we grow, so does the power of the Republicans, because they're going to be getting more electoral college votes. They're going to be getting more seats in Congress. This is going to grow in a way that is going to help them. And that blue wall, as he talked about, it's going to be gone.
Personality type of the left is bureaucratic. You can't govern if you are this obsessed with process. And you can see it in the outcome. The places you govern are not advertisements for your governance. You are going to lose. Look, Houston and Austin, when people move there, they build more houses. They just do. They build multiples more houses per 1,000 people who come in there than LA and San Francisco and New York City do.
I talked to the several years ago, when I was in San Antonio, we had the president of Carl's Jr. Hardee's on. And I said, well, what are you guys going to do? He says, well, we're still going to have franchisees in California if they want to. We'll never build another corporate office, a corporate building there. He goes, if I come here, in Texas is where they moved, he goes, if I want to build a Carl's Jr., from the moment that we have the land ready and prepared, from the moment the shovel's in the ground, to the time we serve our first burger, about 2 months. In California, it'll be 2 years before you get the shovel in the ground. And it's only gotten worse. That's why. Keep scaring people off.
LA, San Francisco, and New York City should take a page out of Texas's book on this. The problem with a bunch of the red states is the vision of where they want to go with things, right? The fascinating thing to me about Texas is it's building as much clean energy as it is, even though the politics are anti-clean energy. The Texas governor, the Texas legislature, they keep putting up bills to make it harder, but because the default in Texas is it's easy to build, and building clean energy is profitable because of the Inflation Reduction Act and the technology and a bunch of other things, they're still building a ton of it.
Still building a ton of it because it's so cheap to build there. They've got plenty of land, and the regulations, by the way, people always think that you go to a place with less regulations, that there's no regulations. That's not true. It's like when people are freaking out over the EPA. Do you know how many rules, do you know how many things are in place? The over-regulated world that we live in is tremendous. The left has chased people off. Now the question is, what are they going to do about it? Well, if you're going to give it over to AOC, who I think is the person that right now, at least in the party, that has the voice that people are looking at, well, good luck to you. It's not going to go the way you think it's going to go, but I still think that she's got a voice that's going to be heard. But she also goes over to that too far, like when she's on stage, she does fine, but then she goes too far when she's online and she does stuff, and that's when you get into the wackiness. You've got to have common sense. Common sense says, don't tax people to death. Don't tell people that a boy can be a girl when they're 5. Again, when you're 22, knock yourself out. You're an adult. I don't really care. Don't use regulations as a way to punish people. It's not hard, yet they can't do it. And they'll continue to run it stupid because that's all they know. And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays itself out. But so many people are saying this is the book that's going to help them. It's not. And I'll tell you why. While that may help them, None of the people in the powers that be in any of these places will follow any of those rules. They will never do it. Because so many people in a lot of these places have been entrusted with a little bit of power, and they're going to let it run wild. And that's why they chase people out. And they're going to continue to do so over and over and over again. I mean, watching people throw their hands in the air. Somebody just texted in and said, if you're in Pacific Grove, California, which is one of the most gorgeous places on earth, if you take a tree down, which will take forever, you have to plant 2 trees. It's like, okay. These are the things that California does. Somebody came up with that. Somebody said, hey, this right here, this is what you have to do. Well, why do I have to do that? The goal was to take a tree down. You know, I was talking to Rob Schneider. The reason he moved to Arizona from San Francisco is they wanted him to take his planters out of his the front of his house that he lived in forever in San Francisco, his dream home. They wanted him to take his planters out. Why? Because homeless people were crapping in it. And it became a nuisance, and they threatened him. Think about that. Think about having your house where homeless people come here, and they fornicate in my yard, they shoot up, and they crap. Can you make it less appealing for them to do so? But don't do anything to them. That's what they do. And they're going to continue to do that because they don't have a path forward, which if you're the Republicans and you play this right, which I don't always think you will, you have got, like he said, that blue wall will be gone. And that's a big if. Because some people want them to go further left, and that's not working at all. So Social Security was one of the big issues that I was talking to a bunch of people, and I was telling Chris before the show started, and we talked on the crossover, is so many people that I talked to out there this weekend at the Tesla, rally against the Elon Musk Nazi Doge thing or whatever it was. So many of them, especially the older, were terrified of losing Social Security. And people ask me, like, where do you think these people get it from? Well, they hear the news. They see stuff. Stuff gets sent to them by their cousins, their nieces and their nephews, and they see stuff online because they're in a vacuum of ridiculousness, and it just becomes fear-mongering, and they can't get it out of their mind.
The Secretary of Commerce coming out and saying, if you didn't get your Social Security check, shut the up. Don't complain, because only people who are committing fraud will complain. Everybody else will think, oh, it's just a minor mix-up that 60 days into this joke of an administration, after they specifically said they were coming for Social Security, that I just didn't get my check. It was just an oversight. Granted, I'm 95 years old and I've been collecting Social Security for 3 decades, but 60 days in to Putin's administration, I don't get my check.
And then people buy into that. Now, look, did he say something, Lutnick, that I thought was a little bit ridiculous for saying, only people who are fraudsters won't miss their check? Yes. Sorry, that's not true. If you are on Social Security and you're living it close to the edge, yeah, you're going to miss that check. There's no doubt about that. Has that happened? A few people. It's happened before, too. Like they're talking about this guy that was classified as dead, but now he's actually alive, and they screwed up. You know how many times I've heard a story like that? Do you know how many times? A bunch. It's not the first time, but it's the first time that they brought it up here because it makes Trump and everybody look bad.
I don't think government would have screwed up.
No, government never screws up.
Beyond the realm of plausibility.
It's just frustrating. Can't have real nice things because we can't have conversations in this world. It's about fear-mongering. We don't do that here. Coming up next, something terrifying. Matt's going to join the program, talk about what he's got coming up. It is Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of all ages, on this beautiful Monday, the one and only Matt Murphy.
Hello.
What's up, brother?
How is everybody?
We're good. We're good. Bell's back. Life is good.
Bell is back. I saw that. I was a little surprised they let him back in. But.
Yeah, they did. They did. His stuff worked. Every time you show up after you're gone for a week, you got that excitement of, oh, it could not work.
Hey, I paid for my crimes.
You did.
I know that you were mildly disappointed, Bell, but you still work here.
You still work here.
That's right.
We'll work on making that not happen in the future.
Just mildly.
Yeah, right. Maybe I shouldn't have used mildly. Anyway, I'm excited. It's a Monday. It's a beautiful day outside. Man, oh, man. Have you been out there?
It's gorgeous.
It's pretty nice out there.
It is. It is.
It's pretty sweet out there.
It was yucky yesterday.
I had an adventurous weekend. I dealt with animals, too.
Did you?
See what I did there?
I did.
You were dealing with some animals down there. How was the Franklin Tesla? You get out of there without a Tesla?
Yeah, I did get out of there with a Tesla.
You think Teslas were sold during the protest?
I do not. Of course, I also don't think there was a lot of Teslas sold before that either.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't look like it was very busy. I don't know how busy. I feel like it's one of the things where you make an appointment more so than show up.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. I would think, don't Teslas, they're already sold by the time you get. That's what I felt like Tesla was always like.
There's a lot of it's pre-ordering and stuff like that.
Customization, that type of thing.
And it was nice. I mean, the people were pretty nice. There weren't too many, nut jobs out there.
I heard every Heather I've ever met in my life, including some that I dated in my early days. Crazy.
Broncos off the roca.
And all you Heathers out there, I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
Yeah, just a smidge off compared to other. She was nice, and they all recognized.
She sounded delightful.
She was actually, the funny thing is, she was just very energetic about, but when I sat down and talked with her for a little while longer, and the problem is I was telling these guys is, you're in the middle of a really good interview, and then people behind you start screaming, F this, F that, F you. And it's like, well, okay, now I can't use
because they don't want you to try to make sense.
No. Well, no, they're yelling at people driving by.
So it
wasn't that. No, they weren't yelling at me. They were just chanting or yelling at other things.
Just randomly.
Yeah.
Random chants
so that
and
guy,
yells.
I was telling this guy, you can't. some stuff I'm like, I don't know if I could hear an F word, and I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Right.
Because Bell's just back for his first day from his suspension. And people were, by and large, nice. They're misguided. They're fear. I told Chris, especially some of the older people there's a lot of fear. They think Social Security is being taken away from them. Everything's changing so fast. They don't see the good in any of it. Then you had some people who understood there's a lot of stuff that's a mess. But that being said, that there's ways of going about doing it. But a lot of them also feel like there's a better way to lay these people off. There's a kinder way to lay these people off.
I take it, and maybe I'm just a hard case on it, but I take a slightly different tack to it. That if you're going to be that stupid about things, then you need to be a little less sure of yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So if you're going to be dumb enough where you think Social Security is going to be stolen from you and that's the purpose of Elon Musk's existence, then maybe motivate yourself to educate yourself a little bit more on a subject as opposed to motivating yourself to drive all the way to Franklin so you can stand outside of a Tesla dealership and protest crap you don't know anything about.
No, the problem is everybody goes straight into their echo chambers, and their echo chamber is only saying one thing. And that's the frustrating thing, because I'm like, when you start breaking it down, look, that's not going to happen. Already in their mind, they believe some of these things. They don't believe it's all going to be taken away from them. They believe some of it is. They believe there's going to be cuts here, and Medicare is going to be cut in half. And, well, at the rate we're going, I said, that's going to happen anyways if we don't do something.
Well, right. Medicare and Social Security, if we continue to overspend by $2 trillion a year, is already dead.
Yeah. And they understand that. But it's also the same thing you and I have talked about.
They just want to be mad.
People want cuts, just not cuts to their stuff.
They just want to be mad.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, well, we want to be mad. I'm going to be mad.
I can't be mad. It's too beautiful outside.
You look great.
Thank you very much. You look great too, Darren.
Thank you.
All right, straight ahead, Matt Murphy. He's got all kinds of fun stuff.
Things.
And I mean fun stuff. We were talking about stuff off the air. Very fun.
Oh, boy. I feel like such an old man.
Yeah, he's yelling at the clouds. That's what we're saying here. It's Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.